chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Hey, happy Friday. How is everybody doing? Welcome, 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 one and all. Harry, you're early to class. I'm going to answer some of your questions today. Yep. I know I owe you a few. I know you were loaded with questions. I see you. Good. You're the first person to actually comment. And yes, in second place is Marshall. Happy Friday to you. And for all of you who are joining us on this live stream, it's okay if you don't comment, but we like to shout out who we see, who we know is there. Yes, Harry got number one spot for today on this fabulous Friday from wherever you're streaming us from. It's good to be back with you this evening. Good afternoon. My apologies for my tardiness. Yes, nope, I didn't start happy hour early. I just was doing a lot of stuff today. And yeah, here we are. I can't blame it on traffic when you work from home. Only 2 dogs. That's not to complain about. So no excuse, none whatsoever. But welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise. Yes, stories unfold and inspiration takes center stage. Yes, right here for Open Mic Friday on Sabrina Speaks, right here. Compliments of CMR TV. It's so good to be back with you and so good to seeing you all here as we welcome the weekend. Even though we had a short week, we know it, how you guys look forward to the weekend. You know, some countries are trying to look and explore this 4-day work week. Yeah, but with everything happening geopolitically, you don't want to put a damper on the reality. Might be a reality. Let's see. But could you deal with a 4-day work week? Are you one of those that could work from home all the time and just do the virtual meetings, that sort of stuff, not necessarily have to interact? I thought I couldn't deal with it until life happened. And here I am a year, going into 9 months now of doing this. And so I just don't like going out anymore. It's just amazing how you just conform to your space and reality, and you just go with the flow, go with the wind. But yeah, I wonder, how would you embrace if we did that as a national conversation? It's open mic. Give me your feedback on it. But the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general information and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Now, Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. And it's good to be. I see you, Dudley. I work 4 days per week, 10 hours per day. Got to give me the secret, but I'll get to your comments. Keep them coming in. Tell us where you're actually streaming us from. It'll be good to know on this. Yes, Open Mic Friday here on Sabrina Speaks. But I can tell you what, we got some good weather, even though the end of the weekend may be looking, let's see what is going. But I'm not the expert here. Let's see what my friends over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service has in store for this evening's weather, and let us know what's in the forecast for the weekend ahead. Yes. Now the synopsis calls for a high pressure system establishes over the eastern United States, and a ridge is becoming more dominant over the Northwest Caribbean. Therefore, the pressure gradient will tighten, supporting a gradual increase in winds and seas. Radar imagery shows no showers around the Cayman area. Hoot, hoot. So you can plan any activities outdoors. I love this time of the year. With the exception of the pesky mosquitoes. But looking at the forecast for tonight, that is calling for mostly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the mid 70s and winds will be northeast 5 to 10 knots, becoming 10 to 15 knots overnight. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. For tomorrow, it's calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Now, temperatures will rise near the mid 80s with a heat index of near 93. Winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be slight to moderate with a wave height of 2 to 4 feet. Now, the tides for tonight is calling for 5:03. Just happened. We just had a high tide, and there will be a low tide this evening at 11:02. Tomorrow, there'll be a high at 5:57 a.m. and a low tide at 12:10 p.m. The sun will set this evening at 6:40 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:12. The outlook calls for, fresh northeasterly winds and moderate to rough seas from Sunday across the Northwest Caribbean as the pressure gradient tightens due to a high pressure system building over the eastern United States. Now, a small craft advisory is expected to be in place from Sunday. So there you have it. That's our weekend weather forecast for tonight, and definitely give you an idea what we can plan for and expect in our beautiful weather here in the Cayman Islands. 20%, that's not too bad. You can still plan that outdoor barbecue, go under if you're still camping. OMG. You got the stamina. But kudos to you if that's what you're still doing. Yes. Could we do a retake question from yesterday, at least one to context based? Just put it here and I'll try to do what I can do to pack it in today. It's when it comes one after the other, Harry, that it's pretty hard. And I know sometimes you got to bolt, but let's put it in context. If you have them, just copy and paste them in and I'll try to address them for you as best as I can. Now let's keep it up to the local news. What's making local news here in the Cayman Islands for today, and definitely here on Sabrina Speaks. Starting with, the government has approved plans for a new trade development framework designed to strengthen supply chains, improve logistics, and help reduce import costs across the Cayman Islands. Now, oversight will come from the newly formed Advisory Trade Commission, which will be chaired by Mr. Will Penu, a long-standing leader in business community and former Chamber of Commerce CEO. Officials says that the framework is part of a broader push to boost economic resilience and modernize Cayman's overall trade strategy. More on the local front, we're seeing where His Majesty Cayman Islands Prison Service is reaffirming its commitment to excellence by completing control and resistance training for 2 staff cohorts. Now, officials say continuous training is essential to reducing mistakes, protecting those in custody, and maintaining safe, humane, and professional standards across the system. The program forms part of ongoing efforts to strengthen operational readiness and ensure staff are equipped with the skills required for a modern correctional environment. More on local news, we have the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and Heritage is advising the public that construction work at the Captain George Dixon Park in East End will begin on Monday, April 13th. Now, access to parts of the park will be restricted, with plywood barriers installed along the western boundary from the main road to the hilltop. Well drilling is also scheduled from April 13th to the 17th, and residents should expect noise, temporary odors, and increased water activity on site. Now, the ministry thanks the community for their patience as upgrades move forward. And also, celebrations are in order, yes, because Cayman swimmers, Cayman swimmers returned home yesterday after a standout performance at the 39th Carifta Aquatic Championships, returning with an impressive 49 medals across all disciplines. Now, one of the program's strongest combined results to date. In the pool, Team Cayman claimed 39 medals, added 2 more to open water, and secured 8 in artistic swimming. Now, on the official Carifta medal table, Cayman finished with 6th overall, earning 8 gold, 18 silver, and 13 bronze. There you have it. Congratulations, Team Cayman. All of you have made us proud. Now, mark your calendars, Cayman. Yes, Caymana Bay Cinema will host a special screening on April 17th, featuring a new documentary on ocean conservationist and artist Guy Harvey. Now, the film traces his journey from the marine biologist to a global advocate for protecting the world's oceans. Now, proceeds from the screening will support the Guy Harvey's Foundation, ongoing work and research, education, and marine conservation. Organizer says that it is a chance to enjoy the film while contributing to vital ocean protection efforts. So yeah, it'll be good to go down there and see what's going on. Now let's turning our attention now to regional and international news. Yes, the U.S. Embassy in Kingston has issued a new advisory reminding visa applicants to fully disclose their social media information. Now, officials warn that leaving those sections blank or omitting accounts can delay processing or even trigger additional review. The embassy says that the requirement is part of standard security screening, and applicants are urged to double check their forms before submission. So you think you're going to delete your account and they don't know? Think again. More on the regional news. Barbados has been elected by acclamation to the executive board of the United Development Program, the UN Population Fund, and the UN Office for Project Services. Now, the 3-year term runs from January 2027 through December of 2029. Barbados, nominated by the Latin American and Caribbean Group, joins Peru in representing the region. The executive boards oversees and guides the operational work of the UN agencies under the Economic and Social Council. Now, Barbados last held a seat on the UNDP board back in 1994. Now, there has been a major policy shift that is coming in December. Yes, and what I'm talking about? Automatic military draft registration is set to take effect. Now, under the new system, eligible individuals will be enrolled automatically in the United States rather than through the traditional sign-up process. Now, officials says that this change is designed to modernize record keeping and improve national readiness, though full implementation details are still being finalized. And taking our attention over, keeping it international, Canada. Yes, Canada is signaling its interest in joining the advanced fighter jet program currently led by the United Kingdom, Italy, and Japan. Government officials says discussions are underway as Ottawa explores whether participation would strengthen its long-term defense capabilities. Now, the project aims to develop the next generation of combat aircrafts with partner nations sharing technology, research, and production roles. Canada has not yet confirmed a timeline or final decision. And yes, now your market to close report for Friday, April 10th. Now, there has been a steady finish to the week with global and regional markets closing mixed this Friday. The Dow Jones ended lower while the S&P 500 held nearly flat and the NASDAQ posted modest gains on the back of tech stocks. In Europe, major indices were mostly steady, and Canada's TSX slipped slightly on softer energy trading. Across the region, the Cayman Islands Stock Exchange reported stable activity with no significant price movements, and the Bermuda Stock Exchange also closed unchanged. Investors remain focused on geopolitical tensions and oil price volatility as markets head into next week. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's your local, regional, and international, and your market wrap up for this evening on the Sabrina Speaks show as we look forward to usher in the weekend. What's on your mind? Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, one and all. How are you on this fabulous Friday? Hope everyone is having a good day or had a good day, and you're just really all into looking forward for the weekend. I want to say happy birthday to all of those persons who are celebrating a birthday today or will be celebrating this weekend. You know, we are live here Monday to Friday, as long as it's not a public holiday, Monday to Friday from 5 until 7. We are here with you, and we love getting your feedback. We love you joining us. And yeah, it's good to be here with you. I'm just lining up my next segment now with my flyers so that you can follow along with me. But I hope that you all are going to be looking forward to a good weekend and spending some good time with family. Schools go back on Monday, so you know what that means, right? Traffic. Are you ready for that? OMG. Yeah. Are you ready for that? Well, it's going to come. Monday's coming and school is going to be back in. All the kids are going back to school. They may not be too happy. And for all of us working people, you may not like the traffic either. But you know what? Suck it up. You got 2 days to deal with that and just get your mind in gear. Let me just give you into some public service announcement, and then I'll acknowledge you here. Yes, because the Water Authority, is advising motorists of planned works at the West Bay Road and Blossom Way intersection from Monday, April 13th. Now that will go on through Friday, April 24th between 7:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Now each day southbound traffic will be diverted into the center turn lane while wastewater infrastructure upgrades are carried out. Now, no service interruptions are expected for customers in the areas, but drivers are urged to proceed with caution. And the authorities also thanks the public for their patience during these necessary work upgrades. And just a reminder, because I know lots happen over the weekend. Look, there is going to be a help session for the ECAP. That's the Early Childhood Assistance Program. That is going to be taking place tomorrow at the Georgetown Library. That's Saturday the 11th from 10 until 1. So if you want to register your child or children and you need this assistance, the ECAP program is back for 2026. They're going to have a help session to assist people in making sure that all of the information that you need, if you want to apply for this, you can go to the Georgetown Library tomorrow between 10 and 1 p.m., where people will be there to assist you if you want to take advantage of this. And also another event that's taking place tomorrow from 11 until 3, it's a License Your Dog. Yes, and you know what this means, right? It helps keeps your pets safe and supports responsible ownership. This licensed event will happen tomorrow at Blackbeard Store on Eastern Avenue. Now that's by Courts, Georgetown Courts right there. That's opposite Kirk's Supermarket. So you can go there and take advantage of this event, make it easy to register your pet with the DOA. And there's the information there's 949-3090. But this takes place tomorrow. So go and get your pet, your dog's dog. They're saying license your dog. Go and license your dog tomorrow at this event between 11 and 3 if you haven't had the time to do so and you find some times tomorrow. Just go down. This event is taking place. And I know the world will be watching this tomorrow. Yeah, because NASA is kicking off its coverage of the Artemis 2. And yeah, they're on their way back home. They're returning home. And this 4-person team has spent 10 days on a historic journey around the moon, marking the first crew lunar orbit mission in more than 50 years is what they're saying, right? And NASA says that the astronauts are scheduled to take their return to Earth this evening, wrapping up their mission designed to test deep space system ahead of future lunar landings. And coverage of their descent and splashdown somewhere off of California is now underway, as we around the world will definitely be glued to our screens. I intend to actually try to catch it as well after this show. But there you go. You got your local reminders and your international reminders for all of you who are not going out this evening and you're going to be watching it on TV. There you have it. But so happy birthday, happy anniversary. And to all of those who are mourning the loss of a loved one, our thoughts and prayers are with you through this time. Definitely from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, we keep you in our prayers for sure. As you navigate these times. Yeah, but Harry's in the house. And so is Marshall. Happy Friday to you. Dudley, hi. It's good to have you here. Andrew, happy Friday to you, my dear. Turks and Caicos is in the house. Leonard Franklin, how are you? Happy Friday to you, my Caribbean brothers and sisters from Turks and Caicos. It's good to have you here. Damian Henry, hi. Happy Friday to you. Let's see what words you got for us today. And he says, good evening, all. Be like seeds. Do not see dirt thrown at you as your enemy, but as ground to grow. I have a friend. Damien, thank you for sharing that. I have a very dear friend of mine who woke me up with a line that says, you can't bury a seed, Think about that a little bit. You can't bury a seed. Because even when you put that under the earth, guess what? It pops up into whatever. It's still a seed. It started from a seed. You can't bury a seed. So thank you for sharing that. Be like seeds. Don't see dirt thrown at you as your enemy. But as grounds to grow. I tell you what, Damien, I wrote a part of that chapter. Yeah, Dudley is saying that he works 4 days per week, 10 hours per day. Good for you. Good for you. Cheers to you, Dudley. Happy Friday, Donnie Bonnie. How are you, my sweet? It's good to have you with us as well. How are those orchids doing? The rain chances for sure looks very low. So you got to be doing those yourself. Yep. Harry, boy, you loading them on. Happy birthday, Annie. How you doing? Yes. Thank you for sharing the love as well. Dudley, congratulations to our Cayman swim team. And Live Happy is also joining us as well in the house today. It is so good. The number to call, it is an open mic. It's Open Mic Friday. There's no specific topics, but of course I show up and we discuss and we go through and I read your comments. Should there be something on your mind, we just ask for you to be respectful and to make sure that you keep it within that everybody's listening, but everybody's opinions matters. And that's all I ask here on this platform, that we respect each other's opinions. Let's have a conversation, not be after each other. Just hear people's views out and let's hash it out together like civilized, grown up, mature individuals, because we are entitled to our opinions and we just have discussions here. But I would love to hear from some of you this evening, 345-936-8255, if it's something that we covered over the week or something that's bothering you, something that you'd like to highlight or probably were not aware of. Feel free, comment on whatever social media platform you're streaming us live on from, or you can send me a WhatsApp, 345-936-8255, or you can call in live as well. We'd be more than happy for you to be a part of today's edition where we talk, we learn, we motivate, inspire, and encourage each other. And thank you for all of my new followers and subscribers. And please don't forget to like, share, and tell a friend what we're doing over here. And the good thing is, even if you've missed an episode, you can always go back. You can always go back and you can share those links with your friends, family. If there's something that we said and you want to get a recap of it, by all means, that's the good thing with podcasting. You can always go back. But yes. Wake up, K-Man. Hello to you. It's good to see you here. Tending to them as we speak. Connie's tending to her orchids. Oh my God, that's like a whole shift for the amount of orchids that you have, Connie. And thank you again for sharing those lovely pictures with us. Yes. Live happy. Hi, Sabrina. I sent you a YouTube message. Did you receive it 2 days ago? I got to look for that. I'm still trying to get all of this stuff, but I'll look for it after the show. Live happy. If I don't get it, do it. Or sometimes a WhatsApp is better or an email. Yeah, Sabrina Speaks, the number 12 at gmail.com, because I got a lot of stuff. So it is not intentional, to be honest with you. It is not intentional. So if it's not by WhatsApp, at email, Sabrina Speaks 12, the number 12 at gmail.com. And I do my best to keep up with them. So, yeah, it's good to be here with you, like I said, and I always love having you in the house with me. Deep dive. Hey, Alfred Real, how are you? It's good to have you. Been quiet. What? You have been very, very quiet. Not even gonna ask. It's okay. Plain and Straight's in the house. Good evening. I'm really messing with Alfred this evening. Yeah. But it's good to have you all here as we look. Now let me see what Harry is up to. You were said, I was looking into how independent the Cayman government is. So in the year 2000, the UK ordered the governor of the Cayman Islands to use Article 801 for the Cayman Constitution to force official legislation, homosexuality, and repeal colonial era laws that still officially forbid homosexuality. Now, the UK did this after the local Cayman Assembly, as it was called at the time, refused to do so. So my question is, how was this viewed to the Cayman Islands? How it viewed? People still fuming through the airs over that, Harry. This community of the Cayman Islands at the time, and how is it viewed now? Thank you for your questions. But if you were to ask individuals in our society exactly how that went across, it did not go across well. And you would have a cross section of persons who would say that they felt on one side would say our MPs failed to do their job, hence the governor having to invoke that and did it for themselves. And people felt that if the MPs, you'd have a set of people, had actually said, no, we're against this, like to really stand their ground for what representations were being made, that would not have been invoked. Now, the other side will say, well, their MPs or members of the legislative at that assembly at that time was probably pressured from the political standpoint and also pressured from the UK's what could be alleged, and that there was a lot of pressure. So pretty much it appeared as though everybody threw their hands up. I stand to be corrected, but this is the overall synopsis. But to this day, we now have legislation that actually acknowledges same-sex union by what is called civil partnership. And our society, our culture, we have a lot of people that are not so blaring in the public, Harry. They will have fluid discussions in close quarters with members of parliament, but you won't have a lot of persons really going out loud on a public forum to really like riot, march. We're seeing less of that recently. And in regards to this topic, it is still walking on eggshells. I would almost say minefield. To say that it's not more accepting in our community, I would be lying, at least what appears to be on the surface, because we have active legislation now that gives same-sex unions, LGBTQ plus, whatever other acronym they have on the end now. And I'm not being rude. It's usually changed very often. But what I'm saying is there are legislation that respects that. There is more public discussion, even though it's still somewhat taboo. But it's in your face. Even with commercials, we see our children going overseas to college and university, and they're seeing certain things. It's being embraced now more from certain churches. So it all depends on who you speak to, Harry. But from the time legislation was put in place, there was something of a swallow a bitter pill. But it all depends. We are born on a God-fearing jurisdiction. And if you look at even our Constitution, we stand on strong morals when it comes to Christianity. And when it comes to looking at genders and who should marry who, we are strongly principled on what the Bible says. That's the foundation of a man being born a man and a woman being born a woman, together, holy matrimony. Yeah. So when you get to the point now where it's getting to that, now where people are asking, respect my rights, if I choose to be with a same gender, or I choose to change my gender, that's a personal choice. So just finding that ground where respect is concerned to honor people's rights where their human rights are concerned, I think nationally, internationally, is now being a little bit more accepted. And your personal opinions really doesn't matter. Where it gets a little tricky now with legislators, with politicians, contrary to all of the allegations that are out there, who's this way, who's that way, who's that, and just remove all of that. Because of single member constituencies, you will find a lot of members of parliament still walk a very fine line in how they speak publicly on where they truly stand if this made its face again in the Cayman Islands to speak publicly about it. And why I say that is because of the demographics of certain constituencies and their supporters. And because of single member constituency, a lot of them are on real shaky ground if they come out and vocalize how they really feel, whether they're for, against, or just respects people's rights. Because in some cases, how they speak on this very emotive subject, Harry, could determine whether or not they are returned to Parliament. So whether or not you will ever know where they truly stand, they will conform to fit whatever makes them land on their 2 feet. I'm just being very honest. So I'm hoping that that gives you a semblance, but there are legislations now that protects them. And whether or not you personally in this society really wants to grow of it, we are standing really strong on our true principles, who we have been founded on. It's more biblical thing. As long as you don't do certain things in the public where children can see certain things, let them at least make their own decisions. And it's not forced on them in school, like to try to change their way until they get an older age, Harry. I think it all depends on who you speak to. But nationally, if you had to say it without getting human rights and all that sort of stuff, respecting people's personal choices, nationally, for a general conversation, you'd probably get those that says they're not too pleased with that happening and that they were disappointed of the members of parliament who didn't do their job, bottom line, and just standing firm for what they feel the majority was saying. I don't know. Where's the litmus test for that, Harry? I guess we will never know. And then you said the second question is to do Article 801 should be scrapped, considering that the UK can still impose laws and orders. That's not going to happen as long as we remain a British overseas territorial jurisdiction. I don't ever see that happening. And even though there have been talks of independence and that sort of stuff, Harry, talking about it would be just wind, to be honest with you. So that's my take on that. And I hope that kind of clarifies it there for you. Yes. Alfred says, been cooking in the kitchen. What you been cooking, Alfred? Live Happy says, it was in regards to a visitor's experience program. It is not easy as they make it seem to sign up. Oh, it seems it's designed for existing business owners, not ordinary people. Oh, that is that one for the 50,000 grant, Live Happy? Okay. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to dig further into that. I gave you guys my promise for that I'll look into that. But let me look more into it, Live Happy, so that I can break it down. And let's see if anybody would do better explanation on it then from the various ministries so that people won't get disappointed. But yeah, interesting. Let me look into that just so that, well, obviously their PR isn't working then that well for explanation, but let's see, Live Happy. Thank you for sharing that with me as well. Alfred Real is saying, but Sabrina, I have a theory. Could it be that MLAs just didn't do anything so that when the order came from England/governor, the politicians could say their voters, we didn't go with this. Or go with it. England did this. I don't know, Alfred Real. And I can't speak on behalf of any of them, but I know right now it appears as though there's no true way of a true litmus test right now of how they came to appearing as though they dropped the ball. And like I said, I can't speak on behalf of any of them because I wasn't there and I would never do that. But it depends on the conversations that you've had. Alfred, you heard the riot that it made here. And it was almost like the strongest voice became the front runner and a representation then of what became, this is what the Cayman Islands want. Let me repeat, the loudest voice or voices became what sat the national norm or what nationals say. It didn't mean that it was something that nationally all bought into because it was who had the loudest voice. And I say that to bring this into context, Alfred Real, because you remember I keep saying the silent majority, and if you silent is consent, that is a true testament where we would never possibly ever know exactly how nationally we felt about the subject. And I know a lot of you guys say, homosexuality been in Cayman, God knows when, they were just in denial. And they'll start dropping this meme and that meme and that meme and that meme. So are you accepting of it then? Boy, I don't know, I don't, like, what the heck? You will have those type of conversations around a Luda board, around a domino table. But nationally, will we ever truly know? Because save by a referendum or a public vote, people are just like fed up with the system because they say, who cares? Our voice doesn't matter. And okay, even if you did it now, legislation is already there. So I think that was a golden opportunity to, in hindsight now, to see and show people where really not speaking up or speaking out on certain things gives you the results possibly that you weren't expecting. And then it also leaves the room for lack thereof of accountability from your elected officials, because that's obviously what sat the tone for the loudest voice then. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's a perfect example of it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that is how nationally we want or how this country felt. If you really look at the underbelly of all of that and you bring up that conversation, Alfred, there was no true reflection. The loudest squeak got the oil. And there we go. We got legislations that were amended, and that section was invoked. And you said, Harry, on civil partnership, from what I can gather, the UK government said, do it in a way you want to, or we sign an order in council to expand the civil partnerships laws in the UK to you guys by decree. Exactly. There were pressures from all over. I think they were just asking to make a decision. And without more context, Harry, it's hard to say if there were any behind the scenes political pressures or maybe flip-floppers even in government, because that sometimes happen. You would make a decision, let's say when you meet as a caucus or a cabinet, and you go down and you table this in Parliament, and all of a sudden, based on what pressures you're getting, be it for or against, a cabinet standing strong for collective responsibility, hey, that may come up as an independent vote, which is what happened. And people voted their conscience. And so I think that there were pressures not only from the United Kingdom, but also there were pressures for and against. And it ended up being where it ended up, to be honest with you. So this is still a massive issue in the Cayman Islands, and only because the UK government forced the issue has it gone dormant. No, it hasn't gone dormant. It became a law. We have legislations that protects, but you can't, it's not deemed as a marriage, like a male and female marriage. It's called civil partnership. There's a law and other laws as well that gives civil partnerships or same-sex unions, relationships, rights, anything that would afford them like immigration, that sort of stuff, rights to having them as dependents on work permits, rights to having them as dependents on permanent residence, they're actually acknowledged. And these civil partnerships, that wording is actually reflected in overarching legislation, including that of even adopting of kids. The terminology, it's a cleanup exercise, is being reflected in a number of pieces of legislation in the Cayman Islands. So yeah, that's how that is. Alfred Reed, tune in next week's episode. You're using my platform to promote your show. And I would do it anyhow. Oh my God, you just lucky. I love you. Yes, and please, yes, tune in to Real. What's your Real Talk? At Friday evenings at 10 o'clock for sure. So there we go. I always will definitely support you, Alfred, of course. But yes, you're welcome, Harry. You're welcome. Live happy. Yes. So Harry is saying also, this shows that the legislatures at your guys' government level couldn't be trusted to enforce human rights laws. They were obliged to follow what WIE, the UK continues to refuse. It all depends on the situation, Harry, to be honest with you. And it's political. Remember, with single member constituencies and participatory democracy, if you do not have real conversations with your constituents to get a semblance of what your people feel, don't care what is discussed based on collective responsibility, a man gonna say on the floor of Parliament what they feel will give them a safe seat, and they will never do or vote for something that could probably get them ousted. Bottom line. And whether or not any elected politician right this second or aspiring could deny that, you would be an idiot, understanding the size of our jurisdiction, the population, and the close-knit of our community and our society. And trust me, word get around. So even though you may not necessarily hear it from directly, you will hear it indirectly. And little you'll get little messages. You don't even have a footprint on social media or WhatsApp or I don't know who texts anymore. But trust me, you will get the message. And in regards to that, if it's something that big that that section has to be used again, I think the Cayman of then for the same-sex union and the Cayman today with platforms, with people finding their voice, researching, coming from a more informed perspective, I feel that you would definitely see a difference right now. I stand to be corrected, but the Cayman society, the voting public of then versus now, is a different kettle of fish. So even if there's something very big coming down the tubes, based on the nature of it, I think you would get more public input, and definitely elected members of parliament would feel the pressure for sure more now than back then. Alfred Real says, talking about the loudest voice, they say empty barrels make the most. Yeah, and see what we got, Alfred, you see what we got, which goes back to exactly what I said. Yes, yes, yes. Harry says, full legislative independence, which has been quietly requested several times. Yeah, but the only how you're going to get that is that, ew, I love doing this. This is so therapeutic. Say by going independent. That's what it is. And we've brought that up here a number of times before, that we don't feel you get that's a national conversation. We're not ready for that as yet. Live Happy says, I thought it was for a single product. This is one of the questions it asks. How will your marketing change as your business concept grows? Or you're talking about the grant, the tourism thing. Yeah, Live Happy. Interesting. Well, we got to look more into that to see exactly what that is, because the marketing is saying one thing, and obviously what you're telling me, your experience is something else. So let's look further into that. Yeah, I will, my love. Okay, have a good evening to you as well. God's looking forward to you for next week. You're always got me going. And please note, Harry throws these questions at me in real time. And he's obviously over in the UK. And he keeps me on my toes. He definitely keeps me on my toes. But thank you for asking the question, because it definitely makes me know what I'm actually made of. But yes, the phone lines are wide open this evening. 345-936-8255 to join in the conversation. It's good to have you all joining me here this evening. And for those of you who are new to the space, new to the platform, you will notice here on Fridays, it's a little bit more relaxed. We will have some laughter. All depends on who calls and what topics come up. Sometimes it's really just calm, light as we usher in the weekend and ease on into the weekend. But I've designated our Fridays for open mic. It's either for you to take the mic. It's yours. You can tell me what's on your mind, what's bugging you, what you want to hear about, and we can discuss it here. And there will be times that, yeah, I wing it, I freestyle, and usually that day is Friday. But we don't have the luxury as content creators to just come here and wait for the phone lines to call or for you to actually post something. You got to have something to fill a 2-hour gap. So there'll be things that may actually come out of the news segment. There may be things that come out of a comment, like Harry was playing catch up from yesterday, because we saw how that conversation went. And yes, it's amazing. Again, that conversation still continues today, because people are feeling that something really went wrong with that case. They're still not pleased that that this situation happened in the way that it did, and someone was able to be here for 2 years, pretty much. We don't know. That's a hybrid. But what came out of yesterday's conversation as well, and as we are looking down the lens of immigration reform, is that it's not illegal to sleep in your car. Does sleeping in your car mean that you're destitute? or you choose not to pay rent because that's a reflection of based on what you're working and what you're earning isn't enough to afford either shared space or an apartment. Now, that's a fine line between whether or not it's right or whether it's against the law. And what came out in that discussion yesterday is that it's not against the law. Now, is it time that we look into these things? And a very critical point that was shared yesterday is that we have our very own locals who are actually sleeping in public spaces and sleeping in their vehicles as well. There have been a number of stories that have been featured that actually says this. And, we are picking up on those who are here on work permits who find themselves in these situations where they don't have anywhere to stay and they find themselves either sleeping on someone's porch, in their car, and you're saying their work permit should be revoked or that's against the law. As we continue to grow, modernize, and we see our population continues to grow, unfortunately, situations like this will increase if we don't, one, have the proper legislation that it's clear of what our standards are here. And this is why we will constantly bring up Vision 2008 in making sure that we, if that was put into practice, maybe we would not have been here. 26 years after the fact, and we're talking about a vision that if certain things, if all of them had actually been put into place, we would not have necessarily seen or beach erosion. We would not have necessarily seen the population increase as we're seeing now. We possibly would not have seen the runaway train that what we're seeing where people are saying with work permits, PR status, if certain things were put in place from then. Now, that's something that we can look at from the perspective that we have something that was done way back. And here we are in 2026, and we can fill in the gaps to see where we've gone down the wrong road. And if we had implemented it from here, because it never moved forward, a lot of the issues that happen in between here and where we are today would not have necessarily taken the path that is on right now. So my only advice based on the feedback, some of the feedback that I got yesterday, and we had callers that were saying, look, this is one particular nationality. There are other nationalities that are doing possibly worse, but are not caught. And if we're going to be an example setter, it should be straight across the board. And I feel that nobody can disagree with that. No one can disagree with that. What came out of that is that I think people needed to understand, yes, the separation of the courts, the responsibilities of reporting certain things to WORC director and CBC's director as well, and sharing of information became the heart of yesterday's conversations. And the question then lied as to how do we know that it's being done? Now, where I sit, I can't tell you that. Unless certain FOIs are done and hoping that certain things are not redacted, that's the only how you'd probably know whether or not. And even if that is indeed the case, then do they have the resources and the funding in order to be the true gatekeepers, in order to make sure that they're running these reports looking for overstayers? They are doing audits of companies that names are being called for a breach of pension payments, persons paying for their own work permits and all that sort of stuff. You know, it all depends. And then you look then, is there something happening possibly on the inside? Are some of our leaders just bowing to who's funding them? Yeah. Are they, if you want to keep your seat, there are just certain things you do. But these are the general questions that you ask when you see it so brazen in the front of your face. And we say that we have legislation, we're a God-fearing society, certain things shouldn't happen. And then things like this happen. And then you question fairness and all that sort of stuff. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening again.
How are you?
You know, I'm good. Um, I didn't get a chance to tell you
Mm-hmm.
the very first time that I had tuned into your show.
Mm-hmm.
And so forgive me for omitting that. And I meant to do it yesterday, but obviously I didn't get a chance. So let me do it now,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can move on.
Okay.
I have to tell you, I really enjoy your show.
Oh,
I
thank you.
enjoyed substance, yes, enjoyed substance, and I also enjoy the way that you deliver.
Thank you.
And I mean, I look in the comments and I see the people who are following, your show.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say, I called the Turks and Caicos yesterday evening
Mm-hmm.
and see that someone from the Turks and Caicos Islands
They're
is
always here.
listening.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
always here. I got
yeah,
all over
but-
the Caribbean, all over the world.
yeah. Like I
Mhm.
said, that person wanted, I guess, me to know they're in the house.
That's
So
right. That's
to,
right. They're being
to
represented.
that person, I say hello.
Ah,
Anyway,
yes.
so but bear with me, please, Sabrina, because it was very difficult yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
With too many people talking at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make sense of, what really happened with this man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask. Obviously, sleeping in his car is not a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Overstaying is not a crime. It's an immigration offense. He was caught smoking marijuana. I suspect he was smoking one spliff at a time. So my question is, what was crime that he committed that took him to court that caused an order of deportation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big question. I
Mm.
wouldn't know how to answer that because I would have to go deeper into the entire story. I was,
Oh, I
yeah, which
see.
yesterday, you see, which is why I was saying, I didn't want to go to dissect the case in itself. I was looking at the processes and where the gaps were filled so that something like this would never happen. It wasn't criticizing
Mhm.
even the operational arm of government. You kind of
Mhm.
look at where does the judiciary then talk to WORC and CBC,
Mhm.
and having been a former immigration officer working in the
Mhm.
enforcement department that were responsible for going to court, apprehending
Mhm.
offenders and dealing with cases on behalf of the government. I knew
Mhm.
that there were reports that we normally would do back those days. What has changed?
Mhm.
Why we are seeing now? I'm quite sure, Calder, that if you did an amnesty right now and give persons, let's say the next month, 8 weeks, to
Mhm.
leave if you found to have been deemed overstaying, you would be surprised the exodus of people that may actually take advantage of that. Okay. Why would that then be the case if people were actually getting these reports, let's say from the courts, and acting on them, number one, and two, whether or not you were doing quarterly reports, double checking if there was a genuine inputting of data error, why somebody appears to be overstaying but is not, or that a work permit was not renewed because human error, or legitimately, are they truly overstaying, or maybe they have been departed, but how the system works,
Mhm.
there's a plethora of reasons why someone could end up on an overstayers list or a late payment. My
Yeah,
bottom
but
line is
having said that, overstaying is not a crime.
understood.
So it begs the question. But I know I understand you said you really couldn't answer my
Because I
question.
was more looking at the processes and how
Right.
government to government communicate
And
to each other.
and right. And you said something too, and if I understood you correctly, the courts wouldn't have a list of people who have
No,
overstayed.
no, that would
Because
be
if
with
they did,
CBC.
that's right. I was going to say that would have to be provided to them by someone. But I think what we're seeing here, what is very clear, is that there is a breakdown of communication
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
between all of the, I'm not just speaking about immigration,
Mm-hmm.
all of the arms of government.
Yeah.
Uh, I keep saying um, there was a fine example with two of the recently elected ministers where they sat down and they exchanged notes.
Mm-hmm.
So they are on the same page because one area affects the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not understanding why the others aren't doing it. And then within the internal arms, I mean, this to me should have been happening a very long time
But it's
ago.
there. We just,
Um,
who's holding those directors, those supervisors
well, like
responsible
I
for doing
say,
their job, which is again
right,
the operational arm,
exactly.
but yet the only one
Hmm.
you're putting in the firing line who leads the
Hmm.
front of the firing squad is your elected MPs when it's the actual operational arm.
And that's my point. Why wasn't this being done a long time ago? I know that I'm going back further than probably some of your listeners would know, but I know one of your listeners would be familiar with what I'm about to say. There was a time, this is going back to the days of Mr. Oric Connor,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
he was in charge of enforcement. And I remember that
Gary
they
Wong. Mr. Connor was the chief immigration officer who set the
no,
direction.
no. He wasn't chief yet. He
Oh,
wasn't chief yet.
okay. Go ahead.
He didn't start as chief. He started there in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and he then became deputy and then chief. Um, and I don't know, if they had special days to do it, but I know for sure there were days when the enforcement team, I think they were called, they used to go out, and clearly they had been provided with information where people were working without work permits, or
Mm-hmm.
people who overstayed. And they rounded these people up
Mm-hmm.
and they sent them home.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that back then, any person on a work permit, once that work permit expired and it wasn't going to be renewed for whatever reason, they were given 2 weeks, to put their affairs in order,
Mm-hmm.
and they left the island.
Mm-hmm.
In certain cases, it could be extended,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, you had to satisfy immigration that they needed an extension.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand. I mean, I know the population is much bigger now, but what I don't understand is having it in place then with a smaller population.
Well,
Now the
more
population
effective. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
has blown out of control. Why then didn't they realize we need to step it up now? Because the problem has multiplied times 10.
Caller,
So
what is actually being spoken in the shadows and whispers is that we're having the enforcers almost appearing, it is alleged, to be selective. Because when they dig deeper and see who some of these people are either working for or who the businesses are, hello, prominent people. And then
yeah, well,
that is some of the disadvantages of a small island developing jurisdiction where everybody's familiarity, but it doesn't make you being a person in society and me, a micro business just trying to come and you throw the full brunt of the law against me, but then you get a free pass. That shouldn't be if it's laws
no,
to be followed. You understand? That's what's being alleged,
exactly.
that they're being selective, which is one of the points that you pointed out yesterday.
Hmm. And what to respond to what you just said, if I could influence the minister or anyone there in immigration, what I would say is anyone on a work permit,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason that work permit has been tendered, whether by withdrawal by the employer or the employee chooses to go home,
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be mandatory that that work permit is surrendered to immigration, and the employer is responsible to make sure that person leaves the island. And
You're
yes,
going down the
and
same road that I was saying yesterday,
yes,
because I could be honest with you,
hmm
as an employer, I no longer employ anybody
hmm
because of the old school that me and Donnie is coming from. I honestly
hmm
thought that was the principle, even though I've
hmm
worked with this law for so long, I would say that
hmm
if I brought you on this island to work for me,
hmm
and the relationship broken down to the point where, but you're not to the end of your term limit. In my humble opinion, if I choose not to renew, you get your 2 weeks, your 1 month, whatever it is that they're going to give you. That should facilitate your departure. I have a sense of responsibility because I brought you in this country. until you
Right.
leave or you get another work permit.
Exactly.
You can't expect to bring these persons from Timbuktu to come and work, and you convince the board that you were going to be their employer, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, and they're then left then to go fend for themselves, hope that they get another job. But who was the one responsible for bringing them here? I feel I'm on the same page with you here.
Yeah.
I would be responsible for you until you either leave this island, and I can prove that, or if by chance you ended up then finding another job, because they're not just going to do that and not have the next best coming if they still have time remaining in their term limit, they would secure a job, right? But I feel that the onus, just being responsible employer, rests on that person, the previous employer, until that person leaves or gets another job.
Exactly. And that's what I just said. And I don't know. Obviously, I haven't followed all of these changes in the immigration laws.
I don't think it's clear. It's not clear that that's the expectation.
My take on it right now is that it begs the question, have these laws changed, or did everyone just throw them in the G5? Because I also remember when it was the law, if I brought someone here on work permit, and God forbid that person died, I was totally responsible to get that person's body back to their country.
Yes, ma'am. Which is why the Filipino and the Nepalese conversation came up, where they were saying, and I had an entire show on that, maybe you have missed it, that there is a office in Washington where employing Filipinos, we're going to choose that nationality because I had hand on hand with those, that you rightfully go through that office in order for them to be able to take up employment here. And the question was then asked, government to government, why is the board issuing these work permits then if they know that there's a requirement, government to government, that these people go through this office so that that country knows exactly where their people are? And one of the requirements, including proof that, yes, you are the employer, that you're going to provide the necessary, make sure they have accommodations. And one of the things is, should they die, that you are responsible for repatriating them back. And that is done in a sworn affidavit.
Exactly. And I don't think that ever changed. And that's to the extreme, like I said, sadly, if the person passes. So I think that should also be applied to the person exiting this island for whatever reason. It didn't have to be that I terminated their work permit.
Right.
Maybe they worked, and now they're ready to go back home. But I still be responsible
until
to know that person left this island. And then I can say to immigration, okay, Sabrina has left the island. She left on the flight on this day, and show some proof of it. The immigration records should be able to show proof of it. But I know that somewhere along the way, some of this information is not getting in to their system. Why? I don't know. People leave this island all the time. And immigration has, when I say people, I mean us. Traveling in and out. And they have no record of us leaving the country.
Yes. This is why I was cautious with how I said.
Sorry, let me just interject this while it comes to mind, which I now find to be very dangerous because you don't have immigration officers stamping your passport for you and showing that you actually exited. So in other words, if I left this country and I was absent for, for next week, but then I was accused of committing a crime. And I said, no, I couldn't have. I wasn't here. Once upon a time, I could show my passport that would prove, see, I left the island. I was stamped out. I can't do that anymore.
Well, you better save those boarding passes.
Unless, I was just going to say, unless Cayman Airways or human I left on Cayman Airways, keep their records for an extended length of time, that I could rely on them then. And there again, buying a ticket, going to the airport and checking in, doesn't really mean you left the island.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because you
So,
can be turned back at the gate now. Remember, you have some people
but
that are
not only
going through.
that, well, not only that, you could have also done that as a cover story.
Mhm.
But if you were stamped out by immigration, it means you went beyond that point
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you left. You know what I'm saying?
correct.
So this all goes back to my feeling. This responsibility should be, and I can change the word and I can say must be put on the employer. They should
To
be held
ensure that the person is
responsible.
gone. Yes.
That's right. Like I said, whether the work permit was terminated or it just came to term and the person chooses to go home.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
And
in
if it
today's
is somebody
world,
then that you recruited that were already on island, it should be made clear of what liabilities you're taking on as an employer, be it an entity or a sole employer.
and you know, I don't want them to start with, as you said, the micro businesses, but start where it's happening. And I think the only thing that's going to make people wake up and pay attention is when, because many of these employers know that they're breaking the law. They know the law. They've signed these contracts. It's when they start spending some time in jail.
Mm-hmm. But you got to
Finding
catch them
them,
first. You got to do the case by management. We've heard the
but
situation with the
but
DPP. And this is
mhm,
why I keep saying, unless, look here, we can do as much immigration reform where laws, policies, regulations are concerned. One, caller, if it is not funded, if you do not expose the staff with the proper education and training and sufficient manpower to avoid burnout, all of what we're beating ourselves up on the floor of Parliament in doing laws, trying to get it implemented, is all for naught.
but wouldn't you agree that if one of the excuses is manpower, but doesn't that say you need to employ more
Exactly.
officers?
And it has to be
There are job
funded.
opportunities right there.
Yeah.
Also, I know that they are law enforcement officers. They should be able to arrest and detain people up to a certain time, but it's 30 days, whatever.
Ma'am, but right
You
now
know,
the
it shouldn't,
DPP, how many
it
DPP,
shouldn't, yep, it should not even need to go there. It shouldn't even have to go before a judge.
Mhm.
Empower them to do this.
They have administrative charges right now for WORC, but even the Department of Pension and Labor, the DLP, they have certain powers that are covered under the law. And even some of these enforcement officers have the same powers of as constables. But
That's
it
right.
will go back to what I'm saying. How much of them pick up the legislation to really even grasp and understand, one, the law, two, their powers, and whether or not they are supported in executing their duties by their superiors is another problem.
Again, well, you know what I would say to that means they're not being trained properly. And you can't just train them for 6 weeks, employ them, and say, go do your job. This requires refresher courses. You know, let's look at TSA. You know, they have to go and train every 3 months.
Oh yeah, then they refreshers courses because
months.
things change, and even the scanners, need the
Exactly.
scanners for different things and how
that's
concealment.
right.
Mhm.
And criminals get more sophisticated.
Correct. They're always ahead.
Since the breakdown, as you put it, is that the officers don't know the laws, well then let's have them go every 6 months and do a refresher course in the laws that apply to their job.
But they
that
also
can-
have to be supported by their superiors, because you don't just go
Well,
out randomly and let's say we're going to, let's go bust this caller's business
Right.
because it's been alleged that, they've been getting away with pension. They've been getting away with, years and years of pension, not in compliance. Let's say, BSP was a big announcement yesterday because they're restructuring that. Who's been holding up the terms and conditions of the Business Staffing Plan Board? There's a condition in there that says you need to pay X amount in scholarships each year. Has there been anybody who who has really been looking to see where these conditions have been complied with and whether or
But
not they're in breach of those conditions.
and what I would say to that, this is where we have employment opportunities again. Hire them as monitors, like what the IRS does. You know, the IRS don't have to get a report on you, that you've cheated taxes. The IRS are monitoring, and if they see irregularities, they have the right to call you in and interview you. Maybe you've done nothing wrong. Maybe you just made a mistake a couple of years ago. You didn't know what you were doing, but they have the power to call you in and do that interview with you. So I do agree. A lot of the law enforcement officers, they don't have a clue what the law is, and that includes the police. So unless you're training them properly and you continue to train them, we're always going to have breakdowns. And if the superiors are not training, should I say subordinate, then if the superiors are the only ones with the knowledge and it stops there, how does that help?
But yes, it's true. But you also have to empower, because to me, it's better. It's easier to lead an educated and informed bunch of persons that work beneath you than to have them, what the old saying goes, keep them dumb and under your thumb, which is, that's a recipe for disaster. But I got a WhatsApp clarification here, a comment. It says, CBC does have a record of passengers leaving. All airlines have to give their outgoing and incoming flight manifest. Also, there is the Advanced Passenger Information System, which provides the full list of all passengers entering and leaving our shores. Now, that is from the administrative side. Thank you for that feedback, WhatsApper. But what the caller is saying, where is the receipt?
Right there. But is that entering the system? See, that's the problem. Getting it is one thing. That should be put in the system almost. In fact, they should be tied. That once it's entered on one end, it's automatically showing up on the other end. And if they can't tie it for whatever reasons, then you should have staff there that can enter that information.
Which is what I think happens behind the scenes, understanding how it works behind the scenes. That manifest now will actually be all of those persons leaving on that manifest. They will behind the scenes now go look for the first name, the last name, and they will do the flight. They will have the flight number. And of course, the date in the system will be relevant to the date, and they will exit them. The point you're making is that there is no evidence of you leaving because you're still leaving with your passport not being stamped. I know when this was recently introduced, or back in the earlier days, that this whole not having to do the departure immigration booths is that they said if you so chose, you could request for an exit stamp. But I don't know if that's widely announced.
But you don't have that option anymore because there's no immigration at the airport.
No, but you could still ask. They said you can still ask, but I don't know what the process would be because...
But let me just say, I have always asked, and I'm told they don't have anyone there that can do it, okay?
Oh, wow.
And I'm sure you know that upon entry to the U.S. now, they don't stamp your passport anymore.
They don't.
So you don't even have proof on that end to say, yes, I left the country because, here's my stamp where I entered the U.S. or Jamaica.
So you don't know if you're given 6 months. You don't know if you're given the time that you've said you're going to be returning. You don't know if you've been given 3 months. But guess what I've realized is that there is a website in the U.S. that unless you go in as a visitor, that you can go and you can see on that website how long you've been given. We've had a fan here.
I mean, that's about time. I'm talking about exit and entry. Although I know that if something were to happen, and again, I'm going back to the scenario that I was accused of doing something, but I need to prove, no, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I entered the US. If they want, yes, they could check with US immigration to see if in fact.
But look at a time.
That day, It doesn't matter, how long I was given, but they also know when I left. So they could say, yes, he entered on the 10th, he left on the 20th. So if the crime was committed between that time, they can say, well, okay, she has a solid alibi. It wasn't her. So, and these are the things I think of. And if, you know, and in that stance, I would say this is how it should be applied here, that we have a record, a very reliable, unbreakable record of who enters this country, and upon their expiry date, I say that as in a work permit.
But you do have it.
leaving,
You do
that
have it.
you
It's in
have
the system.
record that they left also. And
Okay.
it can be referred to and found at any time.
Okay.
So,
Okay. But apparently it does happen. It is in immigration's database, but as we continue to pretty much immerse ourselves in the digital footprint for expediency, and we're seeing where more people are traveling at various ports and all that sort of stuff, digitization and just going and doing your biometrics and stuff where you're scanning your stuff, it's going to be less and less like, I know some people who like, I'm going to walk into Water Authority because I want my receipt. It's going to get a point in time where that's not even going to be a possibility, that you're going to have to do it. And I think that what we're seeing being implemented right out now through Europe and going to be in full effect come June of this year is definitely, you just need this digital ID thing for certain ports in Europe. And they're just going to all be doing by fingerprinting and biometrics. So we need, as a small island development state, going back to your point, is to make sure that we're doing all of these things, but still leave that wiggle room should somebody like yourself want to get a endorsement, a physical stamp until we all, which is totally digital, that should be publicly known that whether or not that's available. Because, you know, some people travel and they like to see that stamp as proof. I have been in Dubai. I have been in Bali. I have been here. But now with this whole thing of not even needing your passports, like the old bank books, you have nothing other than what you do digitally.
But and this expands to many things. I'll give you an example. When you're applying for a visa, whether it's a first-time visa or a renewal, there's a question on there that asks you for your last 5 visits to the US. And I realized that my passport was no longer being stamped upon entry to the US when I was doing my visa renewal. And I'm saying, oh my God, you know, I don't remember. I know I went, but I remember the exact date. And luckily, like you say, for reasons I won't say, I do keep, you know, that little stub from my boarding pass.
Yeah.
And so someone said, Brenda, do you keep those stubs? I said, yes. They said, we'll go and look for them. You can find it on there.
Wow.
So you see, it affects you in different ways. So again, if we were being stamped out of the country, even if we're not being stamped in the country we're going to, we could still look back at that.
To say, I left.
Yeah. I left on this day. I know I went to the US. I left on this day. I went to the US. And, you know by the dates, oh, I didn't go to Jamaica. I didn't go to Europe, whatever, you know. So these are things, I know that it's all going to take time, but everything affects everything, you know? And then there are changes by the UK that those things are not being told to us either. I had the rude awakening the other day, renewing my Cayman Islands passport. When I handed in my papers, and the young man looked at them, and he said to me, oh, you know, you have to do this affidavit. I said, for what? I said, I've never had to do that before. And he said, ma'am, the law has been in from 2019. I said, really? Well, how come there wasn't an announcement or press briefing or anything about it? Then he pulled the piece of paper and he gave it to me. I said, well, you know what would have been so nice if when I got the application form that this piece of paper had been given
attached
to me. I said, maybe you all need to attach this or ask the question when the person comes for the forms, because it may not apply to everyone, but it applies to some. You know, so it's just little things like that they can do to make life a lot easier for people and for themselves.
Because it's less calls, less persons coming in there with wrong information or incomplete information. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Which is why I
So,
take the time to really, you see me go through those bills line by line. And I've always said here on this platform, my opinion doesn't matter. And this
mhm,
is why this space is not, I'm just a conduit. We discuss it
mhm,
respectfully and we bring it out
yeah.
front. My opinion doesn't matter. And this is why I take it upon myself to actually break down those bills, those laws, do it in layman's terms, because we need to all understand what is happening around us and be able to digest it, because things are
Mhm,
changing daily. And if you choose to remain in your corner until it hits you, you're going to be
mhm,
out for a rude awakening.
mhm. Well, I wouldn't say that us talking about it doesn't matter, because they do listen to the talk shows, and I know that a lot of the stuff that's coming in, it's because they've heard
Mm-hmm.
stuff on the talk show. They've heard the public view on it, because obviously, and we have to be fair to them, they can't think of everything,
Right.
so they like to get that feedback,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so I think the more we talk about it and the more we say, what is necessary or what we think is a big help and so on, that Sabrina, give me 1 second, please.
Okay. Yeah. So there we have it. As much as we are trying to embrace this digital technology, we're realizing that there are some serious gaps that will still exist. There will be room where persons will, that you'll be challenged as to where you are and all that sort of stuff. But while we're waiting for the caller to come back, Andrew was saying, are there people in work that have Are there people in work that have business and immigration? That was a question. Tartarian says that I know of a dive master who used to live in their boats 15 years ago, and they were Canadians, is what is being said here. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Happy Friday to you from all of us over here on the Big Island. Hope you're doing well. Juanita says, so true. I know of someone who lost their driver's license for 3 years, and this was not passed on to the licensing department. Just an example. And in that case, Juanita, to be honest with you, it's the onus is on the individual who realized they've lost their driver's license, they've lost it or misplaced their passport or any legal government issued document. It is the onus of that person to go and make a report to the police station. And sometimes you may be moving from one house to the next or something like that. The onus is on you to go and make that report, my love. So yeah, it's really interesting. And then that should be flagged as well internally to the various government agencies. Should there be somebody else coming up looking like me? Well, that way, like with my weave, I change my hair as often as I do. I could be Crystal Gale today and Halle Berry tomorrow. But yeah, but you see where I'm going with this. But you're quite
Sabrina,
right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Sabrina, I'm back with you.
Okay, good.
And I heard what you said just now, and it reminded me of something. It's a little bit funny, but frightening as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Russia, although they say it's not communist anymore, it is still very much communist. Anyway, so upon leaving Russia, gave the officer my passport. Of course, I don't speak a word of Russian. He didn't speak a word of English.
Mm-hmm.
So now my passport picture had me with very short hair.
Mm-hmm.
And once upon a time, when you could smile in your pictures, if my hairstyle was different, I would smile. And it didn't matter. Oh, they would say, oh, yes, that's you. That's your smile.
Mm-hmm.
You can't smile anymore. So anyway, but now while I was there, my hair had grown out. It was probably like to my shoulders. And my hair was actually down.
Mm-hmm.
So he was looking at my passport and he was looking at me, looking at my passport, looking at me. And right away, I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what I did, I took my hair then and I pushed it behind my ears. So he kept looking at me, and then he said something. Obviously, I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized what he was saying. So what I did then, I just took both of my hands and I scooped my hair up and I pulled it all back. And he said, "Da, da." And I knew what that meant.
Poor me. I'll have to change that every 6 weeks.
Yes. Like I said,
I have fun with it.
But I mean, something just, as funny as, well, I mean, funny, yes, but it could have not been funny. because, their laws are so strict. You get a visa to go there, and the visa's only good for as long as your visit. And if you happen to overstay by 1 day, you are going to be detained.
Exactly. Which is
So and now I'm frightened because I'm saying, oh my God, if he decides this is not me, what is he going to do to me? I don't speak Russian. He don't speak English. And at that very time, because anywhere I'm traveling like that, I would always look to see where the British Embassy is.
right.
And at that time, the British Embassy had just moved from Moscow and was now in St. Petersburg. And I was exiting out of Moscow. So, in other words, what all was going through my head, but how am I going to get to the British Embassy? How am I going to explain to them I need to see someone at the British Embassy, But anyway.
Interesting. But Denver had a comment here. It says, so what happens if you go into America and you say, how long do you intend to be here? And you say 30 days. And upon leaving that 30-day, you were pulled over and told you'd overstayed by 5 days, asking because your passport is no longer being stamped. Now, Denver, I pulled it up for you because I know somebody who was in the US for an extended period of time and was unclear because of the same thing that you're referring to, how long they had been given. And they went on this, and I'm going to click the link here. And this is for anybody who's traveling. If you want to know for sure how long you've been granted permission to go into the US, all you have to do is to go on to that website that I've placed in a link before below, and it's the i94.cbp.dhs.gov. And you just enter your full name, your date of birth, your passport number, and your country that passport was issued. And there will give you how long you have been given to enter the US. So this is what I'm saying is everything is going digital.
Yeah, but also if you are traveling on a Cayman passport with a US visa, even though they're asking you how long you plan to be there, you're given 6 months.
Yeah.
Once you have that B2, that's a visitor's visa, you're given 6 months. Even if you say, I'm only here for a week.
Weekend or a week.
If you're going in on the UK passport with ESTA, I think the maximum time has now changed to 90 days. It used to be 30.
You
I
see?
think it's now extended to 90 days. So if you really wanted to know, like you said, you can
just go onto
site.
this website. Yeah. And I think that's the safest bet. And and we know summer is coming up, but you could have, sometimes you may go up there and God forbid, someone may get ill, you yourself may get ill, and you have to extend your stay, not being planned. I feel that this is something all of us need to know, that there is a website there that you could just go, and it's quite easy to navigate. And it'll tell you exactly how long you have been landed for, which goes back to what you saying. Something like that is what we need here too.
Well, let me just say this, just to add to that. 2 years ago, I went to do surgery, and I already knew basically how long I was going to be there. So when the officer asked me how long I would be there, I said to him, I know I will be here for at least 3 months. Because I'm doing surgery. And I told him what kind of surgery. And I said, I wouldn't know if I need to be here any longer. That's going to depend on my outcome, And he said, oh, that's okay. He said, I just have to ask. He said, but you do know you can be here up to 6 months. He said, so if you're going to be here longer than 6 months, then you need to get the extension. So up until 2 years ago, it was 6 months automatically even on the waiver that is issued here. Yeah. Because that's treated like the B2 visa also. And these are things that Caymanians should know. Yeah. And, they can keep, little records of these things that, they can get to them very quickly, pull it up, so on. Maybe save it in whatever people save things on, notes, whatever. And that it's handy. Because obviously if you're at home, you have everything, but when you're traveling,
you need to
just correct. Or an iPad,
correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Denver is
Anyway.
asking, so a British passport
Mhm.
with a B2 visa will still be 6 months or 90 days. The British
Okay.
passport is the ESTA, that's 90 days. A B2
Yeah.
US visa is 6 months, but you are
Right.
encouraged, if you go on that website all the time, to make
Mhm.
sure that you log on this so that there's
Yeah.
no, and they actually
Mhm.
tell you to make sure you take a copy for your records because we'll have glitches.
Mhm. But let me also say something that some people may not know, because some Caymanians, not many, some Caymanians who have the UK passport, they are now getting their US visa put in
As
that
well,
UK
yeah.
passport.
Mhm.
So again, I believe, and I stress believe,
Yes.
that the 6 months applies there as well.
Okay.
So in that case, I would say make sure to check, because it might be different.
That's
You
right.
know?
We got
Yeah.
another
So,
caller, but thank you so
all
much.
righty.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Take care.
Sure.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Bye. You
Oh, I thought I caught that call. Sorry. Caller, let me call you back. There we have it. So yes, for those persons traveling on the ESTA versus the B2, the ESTA is 90 days. The B2 visa, US visa, is 6 months. That's a norm. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Sabrina,
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. You on the road tomorrow?
If I'm on the road tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
God spare my life, I want to be in my bed. Listen to me.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a long week, so
All right.
I'm looking for a restful weekend.
Can't blame you. What's up? Tell me what's on your mind, my sweet.
I went now to treat myself, like I said, because I had a long week.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to treat myself to some Burger King.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had two $20 bills.
Mm-hmm.
One a little newer than the next. Like, because I was hungry and I said, I can't bother with them.
Mm-hmm.
They asked for another one, so I gave them the next $20 bill.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, they're refusing American money to have this and have that, because I was hungry. I want to get back home out of the traffic, you know.
What do you
So when
mean
I
they're
came back,
refusing?
they're refusing. She said it had a mark on this and a mark on that. When I come back home, and I look, not a thing wrong with this $20 bill, US dollars, when this comes to the marking. I want to find out who's managing that, because I don't think what do you mean, they don't manage that anymore, right?
No, it's been sold. It's a new proprietor.
Yeah,
They're
I
new
thought
proprietors.
So.
Yeah, they're new
I
proprietors.
thought so. So I don't know who it is a manager now, but this is Cayman. This is not Central America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if I push this in and deposit to my account, the bank will refuse it. So I don't know how to get in the way with telling customers that they can't take it. Another thing, do this US $20 bill.
And normally you would have an iodine pen there that if you think it's fake.
It's not that. It's not that. It's just like one look older than the next, because
Right.
it went through a few hands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Well, I'm quite sure we can make sure we get the message on to see whether or not that
There's
is
not a thing wrong with it.
But I'm
no
quite
ink
sure.
on it. It's
Yeah.
just older.
Right. But I'm quite sure that they still take U.S. currency, especially the one on the waterfront, because the other day that was loaded with tourists who came off the.
Because I had two US $20 bills. So I gave them the other one because that one was newer.
Mm-hmm.
They took that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll definitely make sure that we get that to I think his name is Mr. Mark. We'll definitely get that to make sure that they sensitize their staff and let them know what an old note looks like and a new note. And if you doubt it, furnish them with an iodine pen. They're just pretty much cents on the dollar.
There's no marking on it, like no unusual ink.
Yeah.
It just wanted more clean.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
You understand?
Yeah, gotcha.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I have another WhatsApper saying. Another WhatsApper said, I've had a Foster's cashier not take Caymanian older money before as well. So they're not, because we still do have some denominations, some notes that are the older print. Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
But this one to look, I mean, it's everything of a new one. Just one more one is more flimsy than the next.
They were just scared. Yeah. Oh Lord. Sorry that you went through that.
If I put it through the machine, the bank machine, as the deposit, the machine will take it.
Oh wow. Well, sorry about that, but we'll definitely get the word out to Mark, and I'm quite sure somebody will probably already highlighted him what experience you went through, because we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. And if they're in doubt, like you said, whether it was old or you could see where that one has really done its mileage, then you doubt it, just use an iodine pen.
It's nothing wrong with it. Just it went through more hands than normal. It looks exactly like the new ones.
Right.
It's just that this one have more wear and tear on it. You understand?
Yep.
So
Gotcha.
it's not like it one look older. I mean, like as in like the numerical.
The features were the same, just that one had more mileage. All right, my sweet. We will definitely get a message over to Mr. Mark.
I want to, I want to do my thing with them, but I was hungry how to get back home. You know what I mean? So I said, okay. I said, here's another one that looks exactly the same.
What Tartarian say? Spray some spray starch on it and iron it out. That's what I do. Tartarian say.
My bank can take it, so don't worry about them. You know what it said? Never rub your cooks, your doctors.
This is an unsolicited plug for BK because my family says that that's my kitchen. Yeah, unsolicited plug. They ain't no sheep in my game. It is what it is.
Like I said, I was hungry, so you can't rub with your cooks and your doctors and your whatever.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We all have people to rub it, so I gave her the newer one, which had the same identical look, but this one looked more flimsy. Come on now.
You go deposit her on Monday.
Hello, Monday night. Somebody else will take that tomorrow.
Yes, sir. But Denver say it costs money to get rid of dilapidated money, especially US. You bet Denver
There's
would know.
nothing wrong with it. Just one went through more hands than the next. That's all.
Denver, that one got plenty of mileage, and you would know.
Exactly. But they're no different. Like they would pick up more mileage than the next one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it's good hearing you. I missed you. You were busy.
If I went down the road now, the next merchant would take it.
Aye, gotcha. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yep.
All righty.
But the way they went on, the one thing what I remind me of, because when they would go Central America, they want to carry $100 bills or whatever.
And
when they say that, I said, oh,
there we go.
I got to find who the new owner is at this time now.
Well, yeah.
That's where they're coming from.
But we'll definitely get to the bottom of it to see if there has been a change in policy for what notes and currencies that they are able to take.
Change the policy.
All righty.
Get your panda. That's all you need.
That's all you got to do.
But the bank would take it once it's real.
Of course.
So, suppose that woman only $16 I had.
Yeah. You'd have been turned away without your food.
No doing even my food. And me and them were going on this evening.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, I got another caller coming in, my sweet.
Have a good weekend.
You too, my love. I'll talk to you.
All right, baby.
All right, sure.
Bye.
Good evening. How are you? You're live. Hello.
Hello.
You're live.
Well, I wanted to tell her I understand that when you go to Honduras now too, that I understand they were only taking $20 bills because they don't take and they can't have a marking on it or nothing, pen mark or nothing like that. They won't take it.
But what they're saying is that was not the case here. This one was just a lot.
I know, but I understand. I don't know if it's true, but I believe that Burger King is owned by some young Jamaican. I don't know. That's why.
But we'll definitely get to the bottom of it, for sure.
I wanted to congratulate you on what you were saying about the time for the U.S. What you say is perfectly right. You can go on that website, and that tells you everything. Because when I went out, they asked me how long I was staying, and I don't plan to stay. We went in the 21st of November, and I just told her that we had come to attend a funeral and family funeral, and she sympathized with me. But then remember, we didn't know nothing how much time we had, and everybody keep telling. And we don't have no visas. We got waivers because our visas expire from 2005 when my daughter graduated from USF. We just barely had enough time to go out for her graduation. And from that, we never ever went to Jamaica to get no new visas.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say when I was down there with my son, we want to go, but I never had time. And we always travel on waiver. So I was worried. But when my daughter went in on the website, we had, yes, they gave us 6 months. We had till the 20th of May.
Mm-hmm.
And we come back here the 28th of March. But then we talked to somebody and they told us that if we had to stay with him longer, didn't worry about it because we could go to the downtown immigration and explain. And the doctor tell us it wasn't a problem, that they could give us a letter saying that he was on the medical and they would give us more time.
Mm-hmm.
So what you say is perfectly right. But
Okay.
then, like I said, they don't stamp it. But then they know when you come out. They could go back and check and see when we come out because Cayman Airways have to present that to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they know when we went in, and they know. And I know somebody, mama, and sometimes they funny out sometimes. And I know this for a fact. Somebody, mother, she have 2 daughters in the States, and they what I call it. And she used to go in era now and then and spend time with them. And what the last time she had in, they gave her 6 months, and she came out one day before the 6 months, and they questioned her so much. She never overstayed.
Mm-hmm.
One day
Mm-hmm.
before the 6 months, and now every time that woman go in, and she even tell them she gonna stay 2 weeks or she gonna stay 3 weeks, they give her less time, and that no
Oh.
my old room or whatever, that is genuine. So you got to be careful. Since
Mm-hmm.
Trump, that was telling, since he is president, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that woman went, and one of her daughters is a RN, very smart girl, nurse and stuff, and the other daughter got business. She don't have to go. I think they probably think that she might have been working or something, whatever. But she that woman do have to work because she got daughters that, and she got with the state. The daughter got house, they got vehicles, they got businesses, or one got business, and then the next one is a RN nurse. She got good education and she married and they got her their own house and stuff. But they give that woman every time she going, she had come out about a week before we come down, and because that was my daughter best friend mother, and they give that old woman 1 week. She told them she want to stay 2, and they gave her 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
So they strict now. You got to be careful, and that's why I was so worried because I didn't want to get messed up. But they gave us 6 months. And then another thing, I remember one time I was going to Miami with Billy, and he was going on the British. But only him got British passport. Now my son got, but we don't have. And they told me from passport office, since he was going for medical, it was better to take him on the Cayman passport because he had an S in it. And they say that they normally give you more time on the Cayman than they give you on the British. And they told me that from passport office here, so I don't know if it changed. And I took him on the Cayman passport. Now when we were there for 6 months, we were there the 6 months. We had to stay exactly the 6 months to the date. That when he went to Miami. But, so you got to be very careful. You got to know, but they can go on that website that you talking about, and that you just
I just put it in. I put the link. The link is below for persons to go on there. And
my daughter pulled me out first, and then she started, and then afterwards she pulled my son. My husband up, and she started to say, and it came in the 21st of November, and then I got till the 20th of May.
Well, Calder, if you go into America, especially Miami, the Cuban American immigrants believe they own Miami. Oh, that's a comment by Denver. Yeah. But what we're good at, because we are known to travel to the US so much, I think it was very important that I shared that link because this has become a growing concern. And I feel that it's good for us to share that, for me to impart this knowledge. And the link is right there. So people should know about it.
I don't want to get no problem with that. But I could have American papers a long time because immigration keep asking me when I used to go out playing for my mother dead, why you don't let your mama file for you? And I say, and they say mother and daughter is easy. And then my sisters can file for me, but sister and brother and thing is longer, but spouse and parents and thing. And my daughter can file for me, but I would go, but my husband didn't want to go, but God forbid if anything happened to him, I might take it up if there's anything left in America, because I hope that Trump don't turn so fool to hate Iran, because if you see him do that, I think we all gone.
Well, we're definitely watching that. And now that we're talking about geopolitics, we're seeing right now, because I saw something that crossed my thing.
He realize what he doing. He opening a can of worms because that could be curious because Korea and all of them can depend.
We are
Because I see
seeing
with the Korean
where there are significant UK delays in processing times of UK passports right now. They're experiencing some delays for this. And I was supposed to include this in a segment. I'm glad that we were talking about this. Oh, we just organically went here. And also, they're saying that it's taken longer because of everything that's happening with the global supply shortages, whatever that is. I guess they're these chips, they're chips. And it's amazing how it's impacting even the issuance of some of these passports. And what they're saying, there has seen a serious bump up of renewals being asked, and they're seeing seasonal spikes. So they're saying normally UK base will take 3 to 4 weeks, but right now they're seeing they can take up to 10 weeks. That's for renewals as well. And we're seeing that. So there are some delays right now with the UK passports. And this was very important too, because we know we have a lot of Filipino nationals here, but listening to what I'm seeing from them, their delay is logistical problems. They are warning their citizens that the Middle East conflict has disrupted shipping routes to slow down the movement of materials needed to print their e-passports. And they are sending out a warning to their Filipino nationals to expect longer delays and processing times because of this for renewals and even travel plans. So to show you the impact, you're already seeing the domino effects that this is having on travel in itself, but also travel documents. So, hey, this is something.
Sabrina, we said last time, God have mercy on us. I don't know what happened. That's because the world is crazy now. And like I even saw something where the Trump had done attack Paul Leo or something.
Yeah.
I've seen something up on the news the other night, but that I don't know.
Anyhow.
I don't know. And I don't want. I think of them we get
Well, I'm gonna go.
They had said in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Connie.
The TSA will get work because them people not even, I don't think they're being paid yet.
Right.
And then I hope we may have to go back up in June, but I'm not looking forward to that. Oh my God, I hope not, because but we playing it by ear because the doctor tell us to keep the appointments that we got there. But boy, I don't know if I want to go back up there right now.
Correct. Thoughts and prayers are with you, but leave me there because they're splashed down. Yeah, we're expecting this spaceship to come back home and bring our astronauts back home as we create history here. Yeah, so we got about 5-10 minutes. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you.
Pray for me.
Yeah. All right, my love. Thank you so much.
You go,
girl. You need to learn how to drive now.
We got our license, we got our insurance, we good to go.
Good for
I
you.
don't have to be bothering about now for ride. Thank God.
Good for
God
you.
good.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. Anyhow, thank you. Have a good weekend. Yes, ma'am.
You too.
All right. Sure. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, as we get ready now to watch the splashdown, all eyes are going to the TV. Connie Bonnie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that with us as we think. My friend showing me the dollar now that they had. Oh Lord, nothing wrong with that, my friend. There's nothing wrong with that. That $20 bill. Let me just put it up here. Yeah, but for all of you who want to take in the landing, we definitely, let me just put this up. Thank you for sharing that with me, my sweet. I will definitely put it up here. You saw where the caller was telling us that they were declined from purchasing food at Burger King because they presented this $20 note. Let me just pull it up here. And it was not accepted. So we are doing an appeal. We're going to speak to the owner or the new operators of Burger King to see what's happening with this. That is the front of the $20 note that was presented and was not allowed to be accepted. And that was the back of it. So yeah, there you have it. But thank you for sharing that with us. So yeah, that is, they did not take this note saying, nope, it had a line on it. And you could see, yes, it was torn where they had it folded. Yeah. All right. Anyhow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I got to say goodbye. It was so good to have you with us today. And looking forward to a productive work week for next week. And I just bidding you adieu. Thank you for all your comments. Please continue to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And God bless. Love you lots. Good night. Take care. Have a good weekend.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.